So, great morning, world. Today's Rise Up is called AntiJoy. And I just love this concept. Anti-joy, which is the opposite of joy. And most of you call anti-joy anger. So, we're going to look at anger today. There's a lot of anger in the world today. And what's interesting about the way the Stoics refer to anger, they call it anti-joy. So what that means is that when you're angry, you're actually choosing the opposite, the anti of joy.
Great morning, world! Welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast with your host, Dragon!
Great morning, world. Today, for those of you that are watching live on YouTube or on our Facebook page, you'll see that I'm actually broadcasting from a different room. I'm actually in the Chicken and Dragon bedroom. And the reason why I'm in my bedroom today is because we've got an interesting situation going on in our home, which is really, really exciting and chaotic at the same time. We just found out, and the timestamp of this day, for those of you that have been following along with the story of the adoption of our little ducky, we've been waiting for almost 2 years now. She's coming from South Africa, and then the pandemic hit and all that stuff. So just the other day, we found out that she's cleared for takeoff, and that means that she's on her way here. So we had to scramble because at the same time that she's coming here, we also have one of our family members living with us. So we've got a packed place here in our minimalist place. Um, so what that means is that we've just gone nutso preparing for Ducky's arrival, and that's what we call her, Chicken, Dragon, and Ducky now. I'm actually in the process of redoing my positioning of where my studio is going to be. So today I'm broadcasting from our bedroom, and Chicken is so upset about that because she doesn't want anybody to see our sanctuary. But it's a wonderful place. So great morning, world. I'm excited to come to you today on this Monday, the 14th, 1 month away from Bastille Day. If that means anybody, it means anything to anybody. That's Independence Day in France. The dragon is French. Exciting stuff going on. A lot of change. I was listening to a little bit of Stoicism this morning on an audiobook, and it was an interesting thought process that the Stoics, who were all about response, all about reevaluating the world and deciding what's important, what's not, and learning how to respond to things better so they can have a better chance at staying on track and enjoying their experience, got to the point where whenever adversity would strike, they would actually get excited about it for two reasons. And I just give you the opportunity to just imagine yourself in this position. They would get excited about adversity or struggle or obstacles and things like that, challenges. They would get excited because they knew that the obstacle was the way. So when adversity would show itself, it was proof positive that they're on track, they're moving in the right direction. But the second reason they would get excited about it is it gave the opportunity, it therein rose the opportunity for them to practice their stoic skills. So think about that for a second. I'm writing all about this interface response system, and it's just so solid. I'm going to do a TED talk on it one day and just like really, really take all these wonderful things that a lot of people are talking about and put them together in this structure and formula to help people do what they really, really could use better skills in, and that is responding to adversity, controlling the controllable, not the uncontrollable. And just that idea of practicing these skill sets is really cool. So it's just a kind of a fun little gift I'm giving you today. And that is the idea of getting excited when you're posed with a challenge or a struggle, physically, mentally, or financially, because it actually gives you an opportunity to try this stuff out. It's interesting to, we always say that winners win in the off season, right? And in the off season, you're training and practicing stuff that you don't really need to because the season is not happening. So we have a tendency to get excited and go after personal growth and self discovery while things are easy. And it's when things get hard that we usually give ourselves an escape or a hall pass and back off of it. So once again, what I'm saying completely differently is, because I always like to go the other way than the herd. So the herd practices during the season. I'm talking about the off season, the off time. So when you actually struggle, get excited about it. Get excited about like looking down and saying, "Hey, I have this whole tool belt, of things that I've learned and stuff and skill sets that I've practiced, and I'm going to try them out right now, see if they work. And if they work, great. If they don't work, it's still a win because then you know how to improve them." So, great morning, world. Today's Rise Up is called AntiJoy. And I just love this concept. AntiJoy, which is the opposite of joy. And most of you call anti-joy anger. So we're going to look at anger today. There's a lot of anger in the world today. And what's interesting about the way the Stoics refer to anger, they call it anti-joy. So what that means is that when you're angry, you're actually choosing the opposite, the anti of joy. So when I heard that, that motivated me because I said this is perfect for the interface response system, because what it means is that if I can learn how to stop myself and identify this feeling of anger, and then everything that's connected to it, what triggered it, what caused me the anger, and does it matter, and all that stuff that I always do. We'll get into that. But also in that moment, just take a little bit of a pause and recognize that by expressing anger or feeling anger, what I'm also doing in that moment is choosing anti joy. And it kind of makes anger look stupid when you look at that, because when you're angry, you forget about the impermanence of life and all that stuff. You're just angry. And we'll get into that. But anyway, so that fired me up and I decided to write. And that's definitely something that's going to make it into my book because and just a lot of people like to follow what I'm reading because I read a book every week, thanks to Jim Quick, my good friend. And the book I'm reading right now is called The Stress Proof Brain, and it's by Melanie Greenberg, PhD. This is just a rock solid book. This is one of those books that I just love reading. The only problem is like every 2 pages that I read, I end up writing about it. But you want to talk about something that you can do in your ability to respond better to the adversities of life. Stress is a big one. And in fact, I already did a rise up on it. I'm going to probably do that on Monday. But the stress proof brain. Say that one 5 times fast. Okay, anti-joy. Commonly referred to today as anger, and also the thief of our time and fulfillment. So think about that. Let's look at anger in a different way because we understand probably where anger fits into our life. And I looked it up. I think that I found a statistic that said something, and obviously some people are more, some people are less, but I think the average person spends like at least like, I don't know, 1,000 hours a year, like being like full blown angry. So commonly referred to as anger, anti-joy, it's the thief of our time and our fulfillment. When you're angry and you're spending time in that moment, what are you getting out of it? And looking at the things that you value most and that you want the most, are you experiencing those things while you're angry? So it's definitely worth taking a look at when interested in taking advantage of this unpredictable, impermanent thing called life. So in that moment right there, are you interested today? Because I know that you've set physical, mental, financial goals today. and probably are concerned and worrying about things that don't really matter and probably are out of your control. But just in this space that we're talking to with one another now, are you interested in taking advantage of this unpredictable and impermanent thing that we call life, the time that you've been blessed with today? When I woke up today, I've been practicing this. I woke up today and the first thing I did was say thank you because I was getting my marbles back in order. And then I recognized that I took a breath, my heart was beating, and I recognized in that moment, I said, wow, I've been given another 24 hours. Not even sure about the 24-hour concept, but I just loved that concept. And by the way, I see that some people are chiming in and coming in on the YouTube channel. If you go to Rise Up with Dragon, always appreciate subscriptions and comments because we're building the YouTube channel or the Rise Up with Dragon Facebook. This is actually streaming live, and I just got an amen from Ada Lopez, and I see Anna Lee. So good to see you guys. If you guys want to watch Dragon in his bedroom doing this live. Okay, so we justify. So this is the thing. We just anger. First of all, when somebody's angry, don't have a conversation with them about anger. So we justify anger as a tool to motivate us and defend our core values and safety. Now, anger comes from a place of natural selection. We're all trying to survive, right? And we've been brought to this idea that anger is a gift. We've heard this. I think it was Rage Against the Machine, um, popular band that I used to love in college, used to say anger is a gift, and there was like a little bit of a subliminal message. But the reason why anger might be perceived as a gift is because it'll help you with the whole fight or flight situation. But that also is connected to this idea of justifying why we're angry. So while you're justifying anger, guess what you're also doing? You're actually not expressing joy and you're not moving towards your goal. You're dealing with anger, right? So you kind of know that. So you have to justify it. You have to say, well, I have a reason for being angry. I have a right to be angry. Now, the word right, which is pretty interesting, is part of the word righteous. The most dangerous anger there is righteous anger. And that is when you're angry and you think you damn well can be angry if you want, right? I see a lot of that going on right now. So I get it. I get it. It's not like I've never done that before in my life, but is it a good use of your time? So, like I said, I get that and have fallen prey to this strategy. It's a strategy. Anger is a strategy that people use. I'm going to be angry. So I've fallen prey to this strategy with minimal results. Minimal results. One of the coolest things I ever heard a mentor say, because I'm always like making every attempt I can to choose to be kind versus right. And, you know, there's nothing more powerful than somebody that has made up their mind, but if you've made up your mind to be right or angry, the next question that I would hear is, what did anybody ever get for being angry or right? Now, if you're angry right now, or you are a fan and advocate of anger, you're going to have a great answer for that. And I love it. I'd love to hear about it. So, once again, it's not my intention to go against people that are advocates of anger, right? It's not my intention to ever, in my rise ups, go against you and your principles and life strategies. I'm merely interested in looking at all sides equally to unveil the possibility thinker in us all. So, one of the things that I write about, and you'll fully get in one of the chapters in my book, is something called holographic vision. And this is part of the interface response system. The idea is simple. When something's happening, when a happening happens in life, rather than just reacting based on your programming, right? Which is evolution, natural selection, mother, father, teacher, preacher, all that stuff. When something happens, rather than just knee jerk reacting to it, stopping and taking a look around it, whole a graphic vision. Um, so that's what I'm interested in, is just allowing people that listen to my podcast and watch my show and follow my Instagram. You'll notice that everything that I do is share some things that made me go, hmm. So Taking in the perceived value of defending our position in our core values and safety, let's look at the side effects of anger beyond that. So, what I'm saying now is if you are defending your right to be angry, I accept your defense. I understand. So, you're allowed to be angry. I'm not saying you're not allowed to be angry, right? So, I understand the concept of saying, I can be angry if I want to, because that's your current reality and I know what it feels like. What I'm saying is, taking that in, that perceived value of defending your position, defending your family, right? And core values. Let's look at the side effects still, even though you're right. Remember, we're going to look at the value of being right. Even though you're right, let's look at the side effects beyond the value that you've put on it. So, one perception is that expressing anger towards a threat gives value and acknowledgement to the threat. Isn't that an interesting side effect? When you become angry at something that is perceived as a threat, you're actually increasing the value by giving attention to the threat. So that's why sometimes I joke in some of my posts that if somebody gets angry at me or says something nasty to me, I actually respond in gratitude, almost saying, "Hey, thanks for giving me the time. Thanks for acknowledging my presence, by being angry to me." So that's not your goal, is it, right? So it displays that we are taking something we don't agree with seriously and giving power to it over time. So think about that. When you're angry at something, it's probably something against what you believe in. That's why you're angry, right? It's threatening your core values. But just think about the fact that when you get angry, you actually give power to it over time. So, in fact, the acknowledgement after the anger of the individual wasting our time is what? Think about that for a second, angry people. If you realize that you are angry at somebody or something and nothing's changing in that somebody or something, and you're wasting your time, what's that going to trigger? More anger, right? So isn't that a kind of a silly thing to acknowledge? And I think, and the reason why I'm bringing these things up is I think that people that express anger don't think about these things, right? I'm going to have a lot of people get angry at me. So what about its effect on our health? Does anger have a positive or negative effect on our health? Well, we know that stress is probably the number one killer, right? Is anger connected to stress or being calm? Right? What happens to your heart rate? What happens to blood flow? What happens to what is the correlation between someone that spends a great deal of time angry and cancer and disease? Look it up. Don't listen to me. I'm just asking the questions, right? Is it a positive or negative effect on your health? What of the energy transfer and branding? Think about this for a second. Social media, what about the energy transfer? And I mean, when you're angry, what does it feel like to be in your presence? Because remember, if I'm angry at you, other people around me that are not part of it can still feel the angry. Have you ever looked at somebody like really angry at somebody else and felt what it was like to just be in their presence? So that's what I mean by branding. So what of the energy transfer and branding that it has on others that are not that are not involved but observed, right? And therefore labeling that person as an angry person. Did you know that when you post something on social media, which I don't understand, I would love somebody that posts a lot of hurtful, angry stuff. I would love to interview them on my show, not to prove them wrong, but I would just love to hear their side of what it is that they're trying to accomplish by doing that, by trying to be hurtful for others. I would assume that logically, the reason why people do that, because I've done things like this in my life too, is if I can put other people down and make other people wrong and me right, it would probably be somewhere connected to me feeling better about myself because I'm maybe insecure. I mean, that's why anytime I've ever done something mean to somebody else or expressed anger towards anyone or put them down, it typically was probably related to me trying to elevate myself, right? So, did you know that when you post something on social media in anger and frustration towards something or someone, um, that is against your values, and you think it's perceived only as you taking a stand for what you believe in, right? When I post something on social media and I say, damn it, this is what I think, right? You think that it's perceived like everybody gets that you're just defending your position. No, most people don't understand that. Most people, remember, everybody else that's not learning about the interface response system, they're just having a knee jerk reaction based on their programming, right? I mean, if you had an angry father or an angry mother or an angry spouse, and that's part of your trauma, and you see someone acting like that on social media, guess what you do? You label them as evil, right? You're going to stay the hell away from them. And meanwhile, the message wasn't even intended for you. So, well, yes, to those that like to get angry about those beliefs, they will understand, right? So, I don't want to bring up topics because then I get all this hate mail and stuff, but just pick any one of the topics that people are defending and kind of like affiliated with anger. Like what I mean is like when you're posting something and it's saying, damn it, I'm so angry that this politician or whatever is not doing this, one of those posts, I don't want to come up with the propaganda and label it, but you know what I'm talking about. The people that will say amen to that, and you can see the posts, they blow up because a lot of people are angry. What they'll do is you'll have the love and admiration of only the people that believe in that, the angry, but it's a small amount of people compared to the thousands that swing by and see your post and feel that energy transfer. So you're unaware of that because all you need is one person to say amen to what you said. And then once again, that's the whole concept of justifying that you're right. And what does that do for you? It elevates you. But the question is what are you actually accomplishing? And how is it affecting your dreams and where you're trying to go when you're taking the time to do that? And then also that idea is you giving energy to that thing. That's what I never understood about anger. Is if I express anger towards something, I'm making it a thing. One of the things that I practice, and I don't know if this is right or wrong. I always encourage everybody that listens to my podcast to release from anything that I said at the end and make up your own mind. But one of the stoic practices that I love to do is when somebody does something hurtful to me, um, if I really want to get at them, which is not shouldn't be my goal, I would not acknowledge the existence of what just happened, right? Or maybe say thank you, or maybe make fun of myself as well. Like if somebody said to me, this is a stoic practice. If somebody said to me, you are such a jerk, and I don't like your podcast and this whole stupid dragon thing. And I said, yeah, it really is dumb, isn't it? Right. So that would be one way of doing it. And then what would happen to that person that delivered the anger is they would probably say, okay, he knows that I'm right, but what would they have accomplished? Right? There would be no fulfillment in that. So an angry person gets most fulfilled when gas gets put on the fire. It's a great book. What is that book called? Change the Conversation. And what it's about is neutralizing conversations. So if somebody comes at you with a complaint or an attack, this book is just genius in how, you rather than saying attacking back, which creates a fight, anger plus anger is war. But just saying, hey, I hear you, I see you. Let's work together on how I can improve. I've had some people when you put yourself out there like I do. I've had a lot of people try to take me down, and they just hate how I respond to it. I think because I never speak to them again, but I always say, I hear you, I see you. I know that I'm not perfect, so I'm open to listening to you, and let's work together in creating a better outcome. And you never hear from them again. But if I responded by saying, hey, F you, don't tell me that, and clench my fist, they're going to hang out for a long time. So if you want to make friends with angry people, get angry. Okay. So The other is the other group that what I'm talking about is the other group outside of angry people that is equally or way larger. People that are not affiliated with what it is that you're angry about. They're watching too, so they only see an angry person wasting their time on what I call stupid shit, right? So just think about. And here's the funny thing: is if I'm an angry person and I see someone post like a personal growth quote, I would assume it's the same. I would say that person's wasting their time on stupid shit. So there's an interesting perspective right there. Is here I am on the outside looking in at an angry person, but imagine how an angry person looks at a happy person. Probably equally drives them crazy. So yes, this is such an interesting concept. So this makes you angry at them too, right? So is anyone seeing a never-ending loop of anger with no actual goal to achieve other than being angry? So that's another thing: is anger breeds anger, right? Now remember, just as a side note right now, when we talk about anger and when we make a decision to be angry, we're also in the same light choosing to not experience joy, right? I wrote this down. If you realized that you, oh, this is an interesting concept. If you realized that how much time you spent, so let's just say you spent 500 hours a year and somebody gave you a statistic, hey, by the way, you spent 500 hours this year being angry. And you also identified that during that time, nothing was accomplished and you didn't move towards your dreams. In fact, it probably sidetracked you even beyond your anger time. So that 500 hours, probably way more. But if you realize that you spent 500 hours and somehow somebody was able to gift back those 500 hours to you, what would you do with that extra time? Because now I'm going to be 50 this year. So I'm starting to more and more, and people that are in the aging process are conscious of it. You start to recognize more and more the impermanence of life, um, and the time and the unpredictability of time. So I'm very much interested in somebody showing me how I can buy back some hours right now. So that's an interesting thing. The sooner in life you recognize the value of time, the better. But if you were given back 500 hours, what would you do with that time? Would you say, I'll spend it again being angry? Or would you use it wiser? Would you use 250 of those hours differently? To, if you're looking back right now and said, if I had done this, then I would have this, maybe been more consistent, maybe been kinder, not burned a bridge or whatever. So what if you just took 250 of those hours that you were somehow gifted back and used them differently? That's an interesting perspective because that helps you see how it might be a waste of your time. And it might be worthwhile practicing something like this interface response system where you evaluate and catch your drift, and then shift. And you can do that, with all the work that we see being done in neuroplasticity. You know, um, this is a huge quantum leap for many people. You can actually reprogram your brain. If you're an angry person, you can actually reprogram your brain over time by practicing being happy. So I invite you to step away from your opinions, concepts, and frustration just for a second. So step aside from your opinions, concepts, and frustrations right now, just for a minute. And I promise you, you're welcome to return back to your regularly scheduled program after this exercise. So just for a second, step away from your opinions, concepts, and all that stuff. They're there. They're not going to go away. Think for a moment about what you truly desire in your lifetime, right? The genie's out of the bottle, the magic wand is out. Think for a moment what you truly desire most in life, right? If you never had to waste time. So what I'm saying right now is, let's say you didn't need to be angry. You can call yourself an angry person, but whatever it is that makes you angry, let's say that you didn't have that and you didn't need to waste time being angry. What is it that you would desire to accomplish once again, right? But first, look at the things that you want in life. Look at the things that propagate it, right? That leverage it and make it so. What would you spend your time doing? Would it be family? Would it be working on financial freedom? Would it be choosing peace versus, not non-peace, or would it be about being calm rather than stressed out? Maybe you'd travel the world and just chill. right? And that's that idea of buying back that time. Now, how does anger support that dream? That's what I just want you to see. How does anger and this idea of joy, anti-joy, how does it support that dream? That dream? Not defend or survive along the way. So support and accelerate it in this impermanent lifetime. How does anger support and accelerate your dreams in this impermanent lifetime? Now, try now to imagine that this is your last day here and observe the potential cosmic insignificance of anger. That was my intention today, is to just unveil the possible and potential cosmic, meaning bigger than you, cosmic insignificance of anger. And I give everybody permission, which is probably going to make people angry. I give people permission to set that free and just be with your loved ones today. Set it free, take a break beyond the minute that I just gave you, because some of you are going to go back to being angry. But if you want to continue that exercise, set yourself free from that stuff, that time suck, and just be with your loved ones today and experience life and the things that matter most. So that is my rise up today called AntiJoy. I hope that you liked it. If you learned something today, give it away. And that's how it's going to stay. I'm going to open up my Clubhouse room, see if anybody that was chilling with us has anything to say about it. But love and appreciate you all. Hope that you enjoy this stuff. Hope it makes sense. Hope it unlocks some things that give you the ability to explore and experience a better version of life. So love and appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.